evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular Saddle Mountain Unified School District Governing Board meeting at 6 o'clock in the Centennial Boardroom. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is adoption agenda. Ms. Starr, Ms. Marcette.
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented. However, I would like to pull something from the consent agenda.
E3, or F3 rather.
Pardon? I'd like to pull student activity fund balance and move that from consent agenda to action items.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda that was presented with the exception of student activity balance funds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Your microphones aren't on.
I don't even know where it is.
Yeah, sorry. And then a public hearing. So this is the time that we come out of the regular meeting and it becomes a public hearing. And this is a time for the public to be able to ask questions. But first, Ms. King will give a presentation on the budget revision.
Thank you. We held the fun of living in a state where it is current year budgeting. Thank you. And current year budgeting means that at the beginning of, before the fiscal year begins, we have to estimate, guess, throw spitwads at the wall, do projections, do forecasts, and come up with some numbers that we believe we can support as a base budget for the coming year. Then the state goes ahead and recalculates our prior year ADM in August of the new year, thereby adjusting our budget from the former year, which then adjusts our carry forward allowance into this year, which then also will affect our budget. So we have carry forward that adjusts all over the place in the first quarter of the new year. And then we also have ADM, right? So ADM, average daily membership. If the students are enrolled and they're enrolled for the first 100 days, then for the first 100 days, all of those students are then averaged out, and that becomes our average daily membership. There are also some multipliers involved, but I'm not going to take you down that road. That's a state thing. I'm happy to share it with you one-on-one. It's really not the place in a public hearing. Anyway, so we are now at a point where we need to do the December revision. By law, is the December revision required? Not if our guesstimates from June and July are within 1% of where the state views us at the end of October. You with me on the timing? It's current year. It's very important that we understand it's current year, right? Then in November, business managers get to review what the state has published in October, at the end of October, and then use the most recent numbers to come up with the December revision, if we're more than 1% off. We were more than 1% off, but only in M&O. So only M&O is affected by this budget revision. Okay. So now that we know where we're standing, let's go on to the next slide. We're just going to talk real quick about the expenditure budget with Arizona, and then we're going to jump right into the actual revision. Any funds that also may have some adjustments due to carry forward and things like that, and then we'll wrap it up with a quick comparison. Okay? All right. So expenditure budget facts. Again, current year, if you are interested in learning more about it, ARS Title 15, Chapter 9, you can Google it. You can read all you want. It will put you to sleep, but feel free to go ahead and do it. It is a cure to insomnia. We also have our primary tax rates, we have our secondary tax rates. That is how the state expects every public school district to be able to fund themselves, is through their local county's property tax base, right? So the primary, that takes care of our maintenance and operations, our M&O budget. It takes care of our capital budget and then adjacent ways. The secondary tax rate is what we all got to hear about in November, which had to do with the election, right? That had to do with overrides and bonds. So that's not affecting us here tonight, okay? Little bit more, if you're interested more in Arizona property taxation and how it works to support your local school districts, there's a place to go for that. Maricopa County Assessor's property tax information, there's a place for that. SMUSD receives $3 to $4 million a year of the revenue control limit. That's a fancy way of saying your M&O budget. Anyway, from state equalization. The state says, hey, if you don't have enough of a local property tax base to make sure that you're getting the amount that our funky formula of current year budgeting says you ought to get, not a problem. The state's going to go ahead and fund some of that. So we get between $3 and $4 million a year of state equalization monies. We get between $900 and $1 million of revenue control limit budget, M&O budget, just a fancy way of saying it, from additional state aid, which is just a fancy way of saying that the state looked at their equalization formula, somebody thought they had a better idea, so now we have yet one more page of documentation, and from that we just get between $900 and $1 million of our total budget from that. Another thing to remember, SMUSD is 550 square miles. Diane, our transportation director, knows those 550 square miles very well, so do our migrant grant people. APS, the energy company, has a majority of the developed land, and therefore they pay upwards of 90% of the property taxes calculated to fund this local government agency of Saddle Mountain. Okay, so I think we've got the basics out. Now we're going to talk about Saddle Mountain's expenditure budget. As adopted, it was at 31 million, and currently it is at 29.5. Okay, so where does that all come from? Factors that play into it. Beginning of the year, we're projecting a 100-day estimate of ADM. In July and August, the state recalculates our FY25 numbers, which often changes then our carry forward. We also have a reconciliation period up through August 28th, 29th, in which we are able to pay any invoices that were opened the prior year. All of this comes together, and then the legislature, who often isn't done with deciding what public school districts can get until after the year has begun, June, July era, then at that point they say, oh, maybe we'll throw in some one-time additional aid. We benefited from that. We've got 3 new lines of one-time only additional aid. So I will not be adding 3 new lines to our budget because it's a one-time only. Supposedly won't see it again. Hopefully we'll see something new. It'll be lovely. Okay, go ahead. Okay, other funds that have been affected since May when your adopted budget was first put together. Okay? Title grants. Anybody ever seen anything on the news in the last few months that maybe our federal government hasn't decided if we get grants, if we don't get grants? If we get grants, how much, how little, who's going to take care of it, who's not going to take care of it? Our grant writer, sitting in the back, Patty, she's been having a lot of fun with title grants, so she takes care of Title 1, 2, 4, and 3. And bless her ever-loving heart, she has been trying to work with the state just to get FY26's title grant in full approval by the state, and they continue to change the person in charge, who changes all of the things they want to see. This poor woman has done weekly updates on those grants for months now, the whole time that I've known her. Luckily, she told me today, they finally have hired someone who's in charge of the entire ESSA grant section, which is 1, 2, and 4. And that person is actually providing stability and consistency. We're hoping to see that fully approved soon. We have IDEA grants that helps fund some of our therapists for the SPED programs. We've got the migrant grant, CTE, and federal Perkins, E-rate, and NSLP. All of those are affected by ADM. They're affected by what the federal government says we can or cannot do, which seems to be changing on a daily basis. The state grants, we had a little bit of bump up in state grants. That's thanks to Liz over here. She's been working very hard with the state on a couple different grants that are helping to fund the counselors in our schools. Thank you. And then we've got, of course, CTE, and Ms. Betcher, she's doing an amazing job with the CTE grants. Classroom Site Fund, that's what's helping to pay for performance for our teachers. That is funded from sales tax and the land trust. Okay, so we'll move forward from there. Here's our comparison. So again, the biggest variance is our maintenance and operations. Pardon me a moment so that I can see my little tiny numbers. In the adopted budget, maintenance and operations, M&O, our revenue control limit, otherwise known as our adopted budget, was 31 million. The December revision brings it down to 29.9 million. The unrestricted capital was at 1.2 during the adoption phase. The unrestricted capital is at 1.9 right now. What affected that? Well, some of our capital in the adopted phase, we were hoping for the bond, right? Planning for the bond, we had capital projects in mind. So 500,000 of the allowable unrestricted capital, we had moved in that budget over to M&O to help support payroll, make sure we weren't gonna have any, loose ends with payroll or supplies, right? So that was fine, that was not a problem, but, we have to make decisions, right? And it's a current and moving budget. So we still have capital needs. I've taken the original capital of 500,000, put it back in to the unrestricted capital. Also to that, we thought we were estimating that we would be almost at zero on the carry forward for capital. We actually ended up having a little over 100,000, so that's how we ended up at around the 1.9 million for unrestricted capital. Unrestricted capital, in case you didn't know, so like M&O has to pay for payroll and benefits, has to keep the lights on, has to pay for utilities. That's just part of M&O, maintenance and operations, it's overhead, right? Unrestricted capital has to pay for your software. Did you know that? A lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people think that software licenses and subscriptions are paid out of M&O. They're not allowed to be. They were determined to be intellectual property, and because they are intellectual property, they can be audited under intellectual property and copyright laws and trademark laws, and they have to be paid out of capital. They cannot be paid out of M&O. We use a lot of software here. We also have all the hardware to support it, right? We also have all the curriculum. All of that has to be paid for out of capital. All right, enough about that. Now we've got federal grants. We were estimating, it looked like we were going to start the year with about 2.5 in approved federal grants. We are hovering right now at about 2.1. We expect that to go up in January when our carry forward from FY25 for the grants actually carries forward. Then we have some, is it a good game? Then we have some state grants. We started the year estimating right about 493,000, and we are currently at about 652,000. Thank you, Liz. And then, so all the other funds, I honestly was having a difficult time each month trying to remember what all went into all the other funds. So what I did do is I pulled out Classroom Site Fund because it really has its own budget. It's its own fund. And so it's there. That's the 6.2. A lot of that, half of that was carry forward. And then your other funds, they include like your 510 for food service, and then it includes all of your cash accounts, and there's just odds and ends. There's the IIF, there's results-based funding, which isn't done yet. Just little things like that out of there. So that is the comparison. And there we go. Are there any questions or comments at this point?
Does the board have any questions? No. Yeah, no, I think the board should ask them first. Okay. Anyone from the public have a question? Clear as mud? Okay. It's your turn to ask.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll come back out of the public hearing and go back into our regular meeting, and we have superintendent comments. Dr. Winters.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Start with a few comments this evening. Back on November 14th, myself and board members attended the grand opening of Terra Vallis. It was a celebratory event full of dignitaries, including the governor and Jerry Colangelo, the godfather of Phoenix, I think is what we refer to him as. We have students who live in Terra Vallis now attending our schools, and this number will continue to grow. I'd like to welcome those families to Saddle Mountain and welcome to the community. Last week, we wrapped up our first semester governing board visits to each of the schools. Thank you for prioritizing the school visits. Staff appreciates you being there. We have the second semester date scheduled. If you've not signed up yet and would like to attend, there are a couple of months left to do so. Reminder, next week is the Winter ASBA Conference. Just a reminder that Dr. Guerin, the superintendent of the Madison Elementary School District, and I are co-presenting on Thursday at 8:30. You don't have to come to my session, but the support would be appreciated. There was a question from a board member about some Tonopah Valley High School fundraisers. They had Penny Wars, which is a pretty common school fundraiser where people bring in change and battle who can get the most change. Tattoo a teacher. You can purchase a temporary tattoo and put it on a teacher. And then adopt a senior is adopt a student senior, not a more advanced person in life. And the teacher gets to help dress them and things of that nature. So they're all different fundraisers for the school. I'd like to congratulate Miss Giacovelli at today's luncheon. She got the best holiday gift in our gift exchange, which was a pair of socks. Which was a pair of socks with my face all over them that somebody else made. So that was fun. And she's not wearing them yet. And then lastly, I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. If I don't see everyone between now and next week. Those are my comments for tonight, Mr. President.
And then recognitions, Dr. Winters.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. We're going to start off with our Students of the Month. Is Emmanuel here, Mr. Baldwin? No? Okay. Bailey ready? Okay. So our Ruth Fisher Student of the Month is 7th grader Bailey Bolden. Bailey consistently demonstrates excellence both in and out of the classroom with outstanding attendance and a strong commitment to learning. She maintains straight A's across all subjects. Her dedication extends beyond academics as she is an active participant in both volleyball and softball, embodying teamwork, determination, and school spirit. Her positive attitude, leadership, and work ethic make her a role model for her peers. Join me in congratulating Bailey for Ruth Fisher Student of the Month. All right, Nathan, pressure's on. Samantha from Desert Sunset. I don't think any of our other students are here. Kylie from Tartesso, junior from Winterswell. No, that concludes our students for, then we'll move into our employee recognitions. Our classified Saddle Mountain Spotlight for November is for Lizette Ramirez. Lizette is a paraprofessional at Desert Sunset. Lizette is an incredible coworker and with a kind heart. She truly loves her job and the students she supports. As an STC paraprofessional in Desert Sunset Multiple Disabilities Classroom, Lizette is dedicated, hardworking, and always focused on helping her students succeed. Her positive attitude makes her a joy to work with and be around every day. Join me in congratulating Lizette. And next we have our certified Saddle Mountain Spotlight for November. And this is for Holly Toohey, who's a special education teacher at Desert Sunset. Holly is wonderful with her class and is a very dedicated employee, consistently putting students' needs at the center of everything she does. I do too, but this is written from the first person of somebody who's nominated her. I enjoy working with her because she approaches each day with patience, positivity, and a genuine commitment to helping all students succeed. As a self-contained special education teacher, Holly creates a safe, structured, and nurturing classroom where students feel supported and valued. She works closely with colleagues and families to ensure students receive the services and encouragement they need to grow academically and socially. Holly's compassion, professionalism, and tireless dedication make her truly deserving of the Saddle Mountain Spotlight recognition. And that concludes our recognition, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Winters. Congratulations to the recipients of those awards. We have call of the public, none. Next is consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented with the removal of student activity fund balance to action items.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the student activity balance statement. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Unanimous. Budget report, Ms. King.
Just can't get enough of the budget tonight.
Yeah.
All right, so as you can see with the budget summary, the top portion is where we are at. The bottom portion is the December revision that we need to work with. So I'm just going to go ahead and focus on the bottom portion for right now, if that's okay, Alicia. Yeah, if you could, that'd be lovely. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to point out that right now, at 29.9 for maintenance and operations, and then we've got 11 million that we've spent year to date. We have another 17.8 million encumbered. Over 70% of that is payroll and benefits. And we are left with 674,000 to work with for anything that is not already encumbered. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clear, that, you know, like our utilities. Somebody said, well, are the lights going to stay on? Well, yeah, the lights are going to stay on. That's already part of the encumbrance, right? So, so that 674,000, that's where we're just going to be careful with and thoughtful with our processes, following all the procurement laws. And then we expect, based on what I have seen in the data of ADM, and then what Dr. Winters already shared with some of the new student enrollments that we've had from the housing development, especially if the feds decide, which I'm sorry, I haven't seen the news yet today, so I don't know if they decided.
They lowered rates again.
They did?
Yeah.
Woo! So that's going to help with the housing market. And as that builds up, I suspect that Saddle Mountain is going to do the same thing that it's done year after year, is have a little dip in ADM back in the fall, and then a little growth in ADM in the rest of the year. So that's what we're planning on. And again, on this, I have pulled out the classroom site fund, and then we've got the other funds, and I kind of listed some of them right there as an example. So, okay.
Questions?
I have questions.
Ms. Marquette?
On line 6, it says student transportation, and it says that it's decreased by 90%.
Say it one more time.
I'm looking for it.
Which form are you looking at, Ms. Marcette?
Well,
And the action item, I think. Right.
it's the same one that the budget revision that I looked at before.
No.
That's-
That's not coming yet. This
Okay,
is just the
we-
budget
oh,
report,
okay,
like
okay.
where we stand now.
Okay.
Later, it will be the budget revision. Yeah, she's on the revised budget.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, did you say we do encumber utilities?
yes.
Another thing I learned today, just never thought about it, makes sense.
Right, we encumber them early in the year, usually in July. And what we do is, like right now, like I met our APS rep yesterday, and so we'll be making an appointment with her because I want to see if APS is planning on raising rates, I need to know what that percentage is. And then, of course, they have a land lease with us over the covered parking over here with all the solar panels. And rather than paying us for that, they give us a rebate or a reduction in our utilities, a certain percentage, right? So I want to meet with her, learn more about that, and have a better idea of how we're going to plan for next year's utilities. And that's just part of, I mean, it's something Kirk did all the time, and now I'm going to be doing it, so.
Yeah, so is that set lease, or is that negotiable yearly?
Now that, I don't know, but
Okay.
I'm excited to find out when I meet with her.
Okay. Huh, interesting. Because you rent, if you're leasing a house, it goes up. Okay.
And there is a proposal for APS to raise the rates by 15% for both residential and schools for next year. So that's something we get to deal with. And there are several education groups lobbying against that right now, so we'll see where it shakes out.
Okay. Nothing more on budget report. Strategic plan update on attendance, Dr. Winters.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Our monthly strategic plan update is going to focus on attendance. Stealing a little bit from last year's presentation to remind us of how we calculate it, and just to give you an update on where we are at currently. Keep in mind, last year, we were in pretty good shape this time of year, and then we had the worst flu like in 60 years or something, and our attendance rate definitely took a hit because of that. So I want to keep in mind that just because it looks like it does right now, there's still 5 months of school left that could impact this. So I want to just remind the board on how average daily attendance is calculated. This is directly off last year's presentation. So student 1 is enrolled for 150 days, they're absent 12. They attended 138 out of 150 days, so their average daily attendance is 92%. And then we go through all students. So let's say we had 993 students, 150 days for student 993. They're absent 16 days. They attended 134. Their average daily attendance is 89.3. And we do a bunch of math, and we come out that, like for this particular school, the average daily attendance would be 90.3. So that's how the calculation is done. Next slide, please. And then I have the school and the district. In the left-hand column, I have from the first day of school up through December 4th, which was Thursday, I think, of last week, and then compared to the same time frame from last year. So you can, and then the right-hand column shows the change from year to year at this time. So as a district, you can see we're up 2.646, and you can see with each school kind of where they're at currently, and the amount of increase from this time last year. And just a reminder, some of the things we're doing at schools to help with attendance, and this is just a list, it's not everything we're doing, but some of the highlights. Schools have incentive days that if you're only absent a day or two, you get to participate. If not, you don't get to participate. Classroom displays where there's a sign outside the door that says, we're all here today, and people can pop in and congratulate the class. And then if you're here every day for 4 days in a class, they get a special award. We're sending a lot of letters home to parents, phone calls home to parents, parent meetings. Principals are making home visits to talk to parents about attendance. We are giving public recognition to our students who have good, high-quality attendance. There are prize drawings. There's a credit policy at the high school, just to name a few of the things that we are doing to help improve attendance. It tends to get a little bit better every year, and we're still striving to get to that 95% attendance rate. So we will see how that shakes out over the course of the next 5 months. And I think, is that the last slide, Alicia, I think? Any questions I can answer about attendance?
A shout out to Mr. Bolton, and especially high schools tend to have a higher or lower ADA than the others, and the fact that you're way ahead of the rest. You're doing something right. Where'd he go? Oh, I thought he was still here.
Ms. Sandoval's here, though.
Okay.
That,
Moving to action items, budget revisions. Ms. King, do you want to discuss?
So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I don't really have anything additional to add.
Ms. Marchette, you had something on transportation?
Yes, I do. On transportation, I see that it's been let me get to my page. Student transportation, line 6, it says that it has a decrease by 90%, if I'm reading that correctly.
Do you know what page you're on?
So the transportation budget is on page 1. So the first page is the cover page, the second page being, that page. And pupil transportation, it's just below, it's probably about 3/4 of the way down. Yep, a little bit farther
Okay,
down,
yeah.
right there.
Line 25.
That is, that's the line that is transportation.
She's asking, why did it go down?
Why did it go down from?
Well, it went down 0.1%.
Well, we are over budget on the transportation line by several $100,000. So I'm trying to rein it in. So transportation is controlled through your revenue control limit, so your M&O budget. And on the BSA 55, which is a state report, it comes out every month, and it tells us quite clearly exactly what kind of range our budget, based on our mileage and eligible students, how much we're allowed to get. For instance, with multipliers, if you're less than 5 miles, less than a half mile, or more than a mile, you get more money in a multiplier from the state for your budget than if you're in that half mile to 1 mile. As large a district as we are, geographically large, the square mileage alone, we don't hit very much under a mile, right? Most of it, we're capturing most of it. But the way that the state has it, for instance, in November, our low end of the budget is at 1.1 million for transportation. Our high end is at 1.7 million. As you can see from this budget, and that was looking at current year expenses, we're running a bit high, which means I have to pull budget capacity from other lines on this page, because this is your M&O budget laid out. And the only place that has that buffer, that budget capacity, is up at the top where you see salaries at 6,100. That first cell is for instructional salaries. That's your teachers and that's your instructional aides. I had to take budget capacity out of that cell and move it down to transportation in order to balance our budget against our actual expenses and encumbrances for transportation for this year. So that was a challenge. I've talked with Dr. Winters about it, and we're gonna look into it a little bit more, see if there's different things that we can do to perhaps either raise the amount of money that we're getting, because oftentimes, like for instance, if you're in a downtown district, you got a lot right in there between the 0.5 of a mile and 1 mile, which means you're getting the lowest amount of transportation money available. So you then meet with your route designer and you decide, okay, we're gonna run the route this direction around the block so that we hit 1 mile, or we're gonna stop that extra route and we're gonna run it over here so we stay under half a mile, and that way we're capturing more money in the budget than that in-between space. But again, Saddle Mountain is a little bit spread out. So I have a hard time believing we have too much in that half mile to 1 mile, but we do need to figure out how we can perhaps find different ways to spend some money in the transportation area.
So follow-up question. So I'm looking at, I'm not sure what page this is, but it's the, let me see,
Well, what's-
unrestricted capital outlay.
Okay?
And if you look at 2,700 student transportation, it actually shows a decrease of 90%.
Oh, so that is, on that unrestricted capital outlay, a lot of transportation has been covered, sorry.
What page are,
Oh, I'm sorry. This is page,
I don't think
is it page 4 or 5? Can you just scroll down? There's 3, 4. There's, so there's classroom site fund, one more. There's your unrestricted capital.
okay. Thank you.
So I believe, yeah, she's talking about that line of transportation. So that's your unrestricted capital. That doesn't pay for payroll. It doesn't pay for fuel. That pays for if we're buying a new bus. That pays for if we're buying a new transmission, something like that. I've talked with Diane and with Dr. Winters. I've also talked with facilities, and it appears that right now, for the most part, the buses are in pretty good condition. The bond has allowed the district to be able to purchase 3 new buses over the past few years. So there's a lot less of the needing to replace equipment right now for transportation, the big equipment. And so I'm moving it out of that transportation line and using it where, since we have very limited bond monies left, we need to make sure that we have that for if there's a roof leak, if we've got another mold situation in another sped classroom where we need to literally take out a wall and rebuild that. We need to have the capital money for those capital projects, and so that's where I moved the money.
So my understanding is that we needed to purchase more buses.
So my understanding is that at this time, we are doing okay with our current bus, because they've already purchased 3 new
And with
buses.
picking up kids from Teravalis now,
What's that?
the new subdivision. We're now
Yes.
picking up children from there.
They are, yes, they are picking up. They started yesterday. Yeah.
Then I had, it was instruction, went down 39.9%.
I'm gonna need to know where you're at.
It's
Oh, right up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, that's capital, and that's me looking at where the capital expenditures are and where we need to make sure that we have budget capacity. And right now, we've got all our subscriptions under control. Our IT department has been going out of their way. I noticed that this happened at the very end of last year, that several multi-year subscriptions were paid for, which then meant that there was a little bit less capital moving forward, but they're multi-year subscriptions, so we're not gonna have to pay for them again this year. that left us a little bit more money for the areas where we definitely need to have more capital, which we never know what's going to happen when we have our main system go down. We're doing a core restructure upgrade during the holidays. We have some server and some cloud server that we have to make sure that all of that is maintained. We've got some cybersecurity upgrades and multi-factor authentication, and then some additional work on cybersecurity that we need to do. A lot of that is going to be funded out of our unrestricted capital outlay. Now, the plus is that, again, this is a December revision. So as the year progresses, if we find that we need to move this budget capacity from one cell to another, we do. It's a moving target. But this allows us a game plan. This allows us the ability to look at where our highest expenditures are currently sitting, where our highest encumbrances are currently sitting, and then determine from there where to put that budget capacity to have it on hand when we need it.
So I'm to understand when it says instruction, it's not exactly instruction in the classroom. It's based off technology or?
It's just the equipment and technology used, yeah.
And does that affect our children when we cut that? Our
I'm sorry?
students, does that have any effect on our students when we cut that?
So the only effect it would have is if we actually cut the ability to replace the one-on-one laptops, but we have not cut that ability.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to jump in too. Ms. Moore said, I think your ultimate question is we're not cutting it. We are, so that it's one big pot of money, and we place the money where we need it.
Right.
So if last year we needed 500,000 in that area, this year's needs are less, but their needs, so it's not a cut, it's meeting the need somewhere else. That's the way to look at it. It's not cutting the budget.
Well, you can say that. We're cutting a certain area of the budget, take less funds for that. I understand about moving it around where you need it, but you're taking it from one thing and moving it something else. So the one thing you're taking it from could have an effect on our instruction or our kids, and I'm just trying to understand that.
I would argue, no, that's not the case, but we can, if we can.
We
deliberate a
agree,
little bit.
we agree to disagree.
I would say back in June, you're trying to project what your needs are going to be.
Right.
And now we're halfway through the year, and
We're
we
adjusting.
find that what we projected in June might have been too rich or too lean, so we can, I mean,
I would just like to interject just one comment on the unrestricted capital. Just with M&O, it is a big pot of money, right? And there are various approaches to how to design, how to fill out the budget form, right? And so as you can see on, is it line 11 there, Alicia? I think it's line 11, it's yellow over there, yeah. That is a brand-new line. That line did not exist in FY '25. And that is specific for instance, my philosophy on a budget, even though it's all in one fund, right? So I'm not moving the capacity out of that fund. It is staying in that one fund. But the philosophy being, in my mind, is I call it zero budgeting. You can look it up on Google. They tell you all about it in Investopedia. So in zero budgeting, what you're saying is I want to at least have a capacity in any line that I foresee, based on our spending and what I know we need, that I foresee we might need budget capacity. So I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to spread it out as much as I can to cover as many of those different areas that I think are going to come up. The other approach to budgeting is not to do a zero budget. A zero budget means that you take every penny and you stick it somewhere. But you keep it in the fund, but you just stick it somewhere. Now, in another approach, and I couldn't tell you the name of it, because I don't do it, is you only put in that budget line exactly what you know you're going to spend that year, and then everything else stays in a separate line for budget capacity. And that is why the state has gone ahead and added that one line, because they're hoping that everyone will be able to start saving 4% every year. Well, I'm new to the district. I have no idea where we're going to go or what kind of little wild hairs are going to occur between now and June. So I'm going to splatter where I see the expenses and I know the need is, but I'm still going to keep it in 610. I'm not moving it out of 610. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, one last question. Are these due to our not passing the bond and having to revise our budget based on less funds?
So that is a great question. I'm so glad you asked it. It has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
This is a budget revision that literally has only to do with the movement of current year budgeting.
Okay.
It would have happened with or without
Okay.
the election.
Thank you.
That line item might also be good, that line 11, because we knew we were going to be opening Desert Sunset, and so we had saved money. I mean, we built up our carry forward because we knew there was going to be a major expense there. So this way you can actually put it in there.
Right.
Instead of just having a big carryover. It's like, why didn't you spend all your money? It's like, because.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
So
other
the, going forward, for CTE and stuff with the bond and the override, you haven't made those cuts yet to programs or anything like that? Because when I look at line item on page 2, account 3,000, so 9, 10, and 11, 610 and 620, negative 72 and 70 and 23.3% in those accounts. So was my question, like why such
Perfect.
a huge.
Those are great questions. So with, I'm going to refer you back to the budget summary report. You don't have to go there, but just know that that's what I'm referencing. In that budget summary, you can see that based off of our current encumbrances and current year-to-date expenditures, we are down at the beginning of December to $600,000 to run 5 schools through the end of the year for M&O, right? That's our only wiggle room. So with that wiggle room, then I go back to what was M&O intended for? What did the state of Arizona say M&O was intended for? It was intended to make sure that our math, our reading, our writing, our science, social studies, that was taken care of. That's what the intent was. So I left as much budget capacity as possible in all the areas that dealt with overhead to keep the lights on and the doors open, and that dealt with making sure that our classrooms are taken care of. I also have to make sure that our special education and CTE is taken care of. That's in the bottom half of that middle line. That whole section there is for special education and CTE. Now, the thing with CTE is CTE actually is very well covered through West MEC, which is not M&O. They're also very well covered through the CTE Perkins program and then the state CTE. The state CTE and the Perkins help buy all of the, not all, but it covers a significant portion of their supplies. And then the West MEC helps to cover the actual cost of the program, like the different salaries that we're spending on the different teachers and aides to get through the CTE programs. So that's been very helpful, but none of that actually touches M&O. Now, when we go up here to 620, 630, 610, 620, and 630, this particular district doesn't have a 630. But as far as program 610, that's your extracurricular, and 620, that's your athletics. If you read the ARS for those extracurricular, they were intended initially to be funded out of cash funds. Your cash funds are your 500 funds. That's your 525, 526, 530, and then of course, student activities fundraising through 850. The state of Arizona feels very strongly that students should learn how to budget their money. And so that money is to be handled in cash accounts. That's literally their intent, their philosophy, their decision. That's in the ARS. Okay. So when I'm looking at 600,000 to make sure that if we do need an extra teacher, that we can have the budget capacity. If we have a situation where we need to go ahead and hire an outside service to handle a classroom, we need to have that budget capacity. If for some reason we have a great need for a certain supply, I need to have that capacity. And I only have 600,000 for 5 different schools to do all that. Now, we can use duct tape and chicken wire here in the district office, but we can't do it at the sites. We need to make sure that our students are cared for. If there are funding sources to help cover extracurricular, then, and the state intended us to use those funding sources, then I think that is the best use of that money. Where I think that it would be better to then use M&O, which really was not designed to support that, and put it mostly towards making sure that we have the lights on and we have teachers to teach.
Do you have a question?
Okay?
I have,
Paul has.
yeah, I'd like to go back to that line 11. So if at the end of the year, let's say $100,000 gets carried forward, it becomes cash, and it doesn't appear in next year's budget, correct? That line item again would be zero.
So in a budget-controlled account, if a line of budget is not spent, but by the end of the year, when they do the recalculation on the ADM, we were still allowed that revenue control limit, then it technically, if the taxes have been collected, will roll forward. And I only say that because a lot of people are going deficit on their mortgages right now, so we're not getting as many property taxes, right? But assuming a perfect world and the taxes have been collected and our revenue control limit allows it, then yes, it will move forward. And then it becomes our carry forward into the next year. But not necessarily on that line.
So-
It goes to where it's needed.
Does it decrease then the revenue that we collect? Or we collect the revenue plus the 100,000 stays with us?
If the 100,000 has already been collected and if our ADM remains at a point where we're still allowed that limit, then we are allowed to keep that money for another year. Let me share a story.
Okay.
So the district I came from was declining at 7% a year, declining enrollment. So we would look at our M&O budget at the beginning of the year, and because we did our forecasting, we knew to just go ahead, don't go straight line, go ahead and go down, because we knew it was headed down, right? And so we'll just keep nipping and tucking a little bit. But the person before me had not wanted to believe that things could continue to go downhill. And I think it's great to have rose-colored glasses, but it's not always helpful. With those rose-colored glasses, they went ahead the couple years before I went to that district and straight-lined or estimated up. When you do that in June and July, the assessor's office looks at it and says, okay, they must know something we don't know. We're going to raise taxes to support that revenue control limit. So they're bringing in $30,000 or $30 million thinking that that's their actual revenue control limit. By the end of the year, they're down another 7%. That 30 million has already been collected, but they are only allowed, based on their new ADM, to have a control limit of 26 million. So even though those taxes have been collected, they are now with the assessor's office. We call it dead cash. No one can touch it. Nobody's hiding it, but nobody can touch it. And so there's been quite a push through ASBO, the Arizona Association of School Business Officials, and then I believe ASBA, to lobby with the Arizona legislature to please address the dead cash issue. There was a question by Dr. Winters a couple months back. He said, do we have a dead cash issue? I said, no, sir, we do not. He says, can you show me where that is? I said, yes, I can. And I did, pulled it right out of the treasury. Showed him our cash balances, showed him right where we were at. And then he said, well, I keep hearing about this dead cash. What are we talking about? I said, let me show you the district I just came from. $11 million sitting in dead cash. Sitting in dead cash. And their ADM is continuing to go downward. Now, they have since adjusted their methodology for budgeting, right? And they're knowing now that they need to forecast lower, not forecast up, so that they're not overtaxing their citizens. But the problem is that it's still sitting there. But I cannot stress this enough, Saddle Mountain does not have that issue at all. We don't have a dead cash issue. But I only share that experience to try and help draw, because I hesitate to say yes at the end of the year, if we have 100,000 that's already been collected on that line, then next year we have 100,000 on that line. No, we have 100,000 in the pot of M&O, but I can only access it assuming our ADM keeps the revenue control limit at a space where I can still access it. And then we can review what the district's goals and values are, and from that, we can redesign where we're going to stick it or keep it in the same space.
I have one last question.
So on the carry forward, next year's budget, is it part of the budget, within the budget, the revenue control limit, or is it the revenue control limit plus $100,000?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Let me find the terminology, because it's funky terminology. Just one second. I'm so sorry. It's going to be back here. Page 7. So page 7, it's not going to be that page. It's going to be a different page 7. Keep going. Yeah, that one. Okay, so right up there, yes, thank you so much. Right up there at the top, we'll get that a little bit bigger. Line 1, revenue control limit. That is our ADM, what we believe it's going to be, right? Now, when you scroll down, you've got your override, and then you scroll down a little bit more, and then you've got your carry forward under 8B. And then down at the bottom, you have your total FY26 general budget limit. So your GBL includes your carry forward as opposed to your RCL, which is basically just the calculations.
Thank you.
Whew, I am so sorry, I took you all around.
It's a good story.
And I'll piggyback just for the dead cash, there's a lot of mis and disinformation being spread about that issue. As a state, there's a lot of money, millions of dollars that districts have, but because of the way the law is, they cannot access it. So if somebody says you're hoarding money, you don't need more money because of dead cash, it is not accurate. Feel free to educate them appropriately.
So that's why the county can loan us money so cheap, because they're sitting on a big wad of dead cash. The treasurer, it's in their account, but they can't spend it.
No one can use it.
Wow.
And we're
Okay.
all interested as to where the interest is going. Because that's a big wad of cash.
And districts are lobbying, hey, let me give this money back to my taxpayers, and there's no mechanism or law for
right.
that. We don't have that issue, but could we in the future? Yes, but we don't
Well,
currently have.
we could this year, because we taxed at the 31 million, and we're only going to spend 29 million. So there might be $1 million that goes into dead cash. See, I thought that, I learned something new again, another new thing. I thought they looked at how much cash you had and how much you needed for your budget, and that's what the taxes was.
Oh, no,
I didn't realize
Literally,
that.
M&O and capital is literally that formula.
Okay.
And they stick to it.
That's what they taxed to.
Yep.
And then, because we carried forward from our last budget, we can spend that this year.
Yes.
So the idea of 4% carryover, once you get it, you can, but anyway, it's helped us. Any other questions on the budget?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
Ms.
So
Ms.
in layman's terms, so general public can understand this, I know that we had, and I'm just going to call it a shortage because of not passing the bond, the override, student population, whatever. So what did we, I don't want to say cut, but what did we get rid of, or what did we get rid of? I don't know. But how did we, I mean, we see the dollars here. Well, what's the bottom line? What are we not doing to resolve that difference? Besides moving money around, I mean, it's got to affect something. Is it teachers? Is it, I mean, I don't know. What is it?
Well, let me-
So it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking it. At this point, we are not having to cut anything.
Okay.
So now, let me back up. The day after election, so really bad timing, is when we got the notice from the state, hey, we're more than 1% off. So in that more than 1% off, they calculated it at 2.8 that we needed to cut by December 1st. Okay, that's something where we have to let people know, right? We need to nip and tuck here, we gotta be careful. What's our plan? Now, we need to remember, I know I've said it many times tonight, this is a moving target. This is a moving target. What do I mean by that? When we received that notice from the state that's dated October 29th, they were using September 15th numbers. When I came back in November and did the pulled October numbers, ran the same formula, woo, we're only at 1.4 that we need to adjust, not 2.8. Well, guess what? We had 1.4 in budget capacity. So I put it where we were spending the most, which was transportation, and the rest, I just made sure that on each line, we're good to go. Now, there's still approximately 600,000 of budget capacity that is sitting in our instruction space, so that we'll have it in case we need a teacher or someone in a classroom to help out.
Well, basically, you just answered it in the first sentence, so. thank
Beautiful.
you.
Good, okay.
And I'll say, at this point,
Right.
Yes.
if there's, it could go up, it could go, because again, it's a moving target. We grow 20 students next week and keep growing, it goes up. We lose 100 students, it's going to be a big problem. That's the challenge with this whole idea of current year budgeting. As we heard that training, the state had a perfectly good system, and then 2016, they broke the perfectly good system, and we have the one we have today.
I just kind of wanted it in layman terms so
Yeah,
that
that's
people
it.
would understand what we were saying.
But come June, we're going to have to decrease our M&O override by
A
how
third,
much? 300,000?
800,000,
800,000, I'm sorry.
correct, off the top of my head.
So that's when it will come in next year.
Yeah, so at this point for this year, things are covered. Right now, we're going through that process of what that's going to look like for next year.
Thank you.
More questions? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that the board approve the FY '26 budget revision.
I second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the expenditure budget revision. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Unanimous. IGA on teacher partners, Dr. Winters.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is a new IGA between us and the Arizona Department of Education. One thing I want to point out is on the very last page, it says page 14 of 84. So I called ADE to figure out what's going on with that, and they said it was a typo. They made one of these for every district, and so in their file, there's 84 pages, but the Saddle Mountain is only 14 pages. We're not missing 70 pages. We're missing all the other school districts. That doesn't apply to us. This is a grant to provide math training. Is it just a Desert Sunset, Patty, or is this the one that's the whole district? This is training to help our teachers in the elementary grades with mathematics.
Discussion?
I thought I read it was just Desert Sunset.
There's two of them, but this is the Desert Sunset one. Yep, that's what I thought. We have one for just Desert Sunset, and we have another one that'll be coming forward for the whole district.
So, say that again. So this one's for Desert Sunset.
This one is just for Desert
and
Sunset.
you'll be
Yeah.
bringing more for the other schools, okay.
You ready?
Yeah. Do I have- Go ahead.
I recommend the board approve the ADE Teaching Partners IGA.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the ADA Teaching Partner IGA. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Unanimous. classified salary schedule change. Dr. Winters?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is a response to a legal requirement. As you know, the minimum wage in Arizona goes up every year with no additional funding to maintain that change. So the minimum wage is going up to $15.15. We went back in time to like the 30s or something, or 40, I don't know when it was a dollar. And so what that caused, so we actually had level 1 and level 2 both under that 15.15. So this new salary schedule reflects combining levels 1 and 2. And you can see that, so only those groups in 1 are affected by this. It is a minimal group of people. The food service 1 workers are all paid out of the National School Lunch Program. So there's a handful of employees that will receive this increase. And it will dip into that budget capacity a little bit, but it's not going to eat it. It's going to eat up a few $1,000s. It's not going to eat up several $100,000 of that. And at the end of the day, it's a legal requirement that we have to do this. And then when we get back from winter break, those employees' salaries will be amended accordingly. And I want to point out, no, it's okay, never mind. I'll answer any questions here.
I move the board approve the classified salary schedule change.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the classified schedule, salary change. I don't follow, you said what did you say about removing level 1?
If you look at the previous salary schedule,
Right, it was like,
levels 1 and 2 have now been merged into level 1. So the numbering was, I think, off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4A, 5, 6, 7. Now it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does it go up to 7 or 8? 8. So there's no like dot A, it's just 1 through 8 now. And we've merged 1 and 2 together. And next year, we'll see what the change is, and it's going to change again.
well, but right there, what she has pulled up.
The one titled classified salary schedule level 1 eliminated is the new one.
This is the old one. Oh. This is the new one with the A.
No.
Oh, okay.
Show the other one.
So you're on the right.
The other one is like bottom was 1470,
Right.
and this one bottom is 1515.
Correct.
But we still have skilled maintenance, number 8 is still at $34.
Yes. So the only ones impacted are those 2 bottom levels that were under the new minimum wage.
Oh, I see okay.
That's the only change to this.
But we still have 1 through 8.
We now have 1 through 8. We had 1 through 8, but there was a 4-point-A in there. So we really had 9.
Oh,
But
okay.
now there's 8.
Okay, thank you. 4A and, yeah, I see it now. Thank you. Thanks for clearing that up. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
We haven't done,
Pardon?
did we do the thing yet?
Motion?
Motion to, we recommend the board approve the classified.
did.
We
Yeah.
did that? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, and then after the motion, I had a question.
Okay.
A good reason for asking for further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Unanimous. Food service events, Dr. Winters.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is a new requirement, shall we say. Ms. Marcette, Ms. Hernandez, and I attended a school finance training a couple weeks ago. And during that training, we were informed of a new audit general requirement for school districts, that anytime we are using funds to pay for any kind of food, we have to have previous governing board approval. Obviously, we don't use M&O for food, that's not allowed. So these are, can you name what are the name of the funds we're using?
Oh, we're using the unrestricted funds, so the
Yeah.
indirect cost and the Medicaid reimbursement.
So funds that are allowed to, but even though it's not M&O, they've asked us to approve. So what I see, this is a new thing, so we'll bring it for action. So we tried to brainstorm a list that we could think of right now for the second semester, the times we would be providing food through one of those funds. There might be other ones that come up throughout the year. We would then put those onto the consent agenda because they would just be a new, and then I anticipate in July, we'll do the first semester, and then December, we'll do the second semester. But that's this event. So, of course, at our governing board meetings, you guys, we, the employees and board members receive food. Snack chat, the superintendent student advisory council, we feed the students at that. At not all, but some of our instructional leadership team meetings, we have breakfast provided. But I just wanted to put anything out there that could have food provided. Doesn't mean it's going to, but at least we're covered moving forward. And this was one of those lovely items where the audit general does not inform us of the new requirement. They just start dinging you on the audits that you didn't have this approved by the board, even though no one was aware that this is something that needed to be done. So this is a requirement we'll start fulfilling moving forward.
So, Ms. King, so like for this food for us this evening, you actually transfer out of one fund into 510? I just assumed it was all coming from 510, food services.
Right, so I believe the evening one is à la carte, right? Right. And then, yes, so it is à la carte. It is not part of the lunch program.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not all of these are food that we typically provide from our own internal provider. However, for example, in the future, it will include things like this afternoon, we had our annual district office staff luncheon, where we purchase food for the staff for lunch. It does not come from Dorothy's team. We go to a third party. That was not on this because we did that today, and I didn't want you guys approving something, but in the future, that would be something that goes on the agenda. So it's not necessarily all going to come from Dorothy's team.
Okay.
It can, but it's not a rule.
So I move that we recommend the board approve the new food service requirements.
I'll second it.
A motion, a second to approve food.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question. So this change that came about, did it come through the legislature? Should our ASVA policy pick that up?
Not to my knowledge. The way it was presented to us was that there was a school district, specifically EVIT, the East Valley version of West MEC, went through their audit, and there was a finding from the audit general that you didn't have your food approved by the governing board. And so now, there, to my knowledge, there's been no statute or change in policy. It's just, and this is fairly typical, the audit general will audit and then say, okay, this is what we're going to focus on this year, and then it becomes practice, but there's no real, they never give us direction to say, hey, you need to do this now. So we kind of get held accountable for expectations that no one's informed of what the expectation is.
But, so they made up their own rule? Is that where
Could
we're at?
be. I don't know of any statutory requirement for that. It was news to us and everyone in the room in the training.
So a lot of the background on that is with the ESSER funds, they were relatively unrestricted. And so a lot of districts in the valley were using it to try and build staff morale. And so they would use those ESSER funds to pay for luncheons and different ways of promoting staff morale to try and, get everybody back to work after COVID. What they're finding is now that ESSER is gone, there are some districts that have then said, okay, well, ESSER's gone, we're just going to go ahead and use M&O. Well, M&O is not allowed to be used that way. And so now it's becoming an audit thing. Now it's like, oh, we found one, there's got to be more. And so now they're just becoming a little bit more fun in that arena.
Okay. I was thinking maybe it's left over from that, the idea of at one time we couldn't feed teachers because if it wasn't in their contract and it was considered gifting, that the board never approved that we give the teachers food, so therefore we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the new first food service requirements. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Unanimous. Sorry, mine was an aye.
Mr. President, I apologize. Could we take like a minute and 45-second recess so that the superintendent can run to the little office?
Okay, let's,
Thank you.
take
Sorry.
2-minute recess.
I will.
Get up and stretch. I think that's the first. Oh, I also didn't see payroll. Is payroll over there?
Payroll.
Payroll? She wasn't in yesterday when I came in.
I will find that before we reach you.
Oh, this is the one where you have to all write in small.
See it.
Okay,
Thank
moving
you, Mr.
on.
President.
SMART goals. Dr. Winters?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Based on our study session last month, we took all that input and put together SMART goals for the strategic plan. And in doing so, we also had some discussion about how we label certain things of the strategic plan. So we also, a part of this, renamed part of it. So you'll see, instead of goal 1, we are now calling it stakeholder priority 1. And so that's the same. And under stakeholder priority 1, we have 4 SMART goals. And Alicia, can you scroll down for me? And then under stakeholder priority 2, that's the same. We have the 1 SMART goal we discussed. Under stakeholder priority 3, that's the same. When we left the study session, we did not have any real consensus or ideas on the community SMART goals. However, in discussing it with various members of the team, we really feel that we can't leave community out of in terms of the SMART goal idea. And we came up with 2 for that. And then for stakeholder priority 4, the priority stays the same, and we had the 1 SMART goal we had. And then if this is approved, it will change how our current strategic plan looks and kind of like is laid out. And I suspect it'll also change kind of how our reporting on it is measured. But that's where I see the changes taking place. So we can vote to approve it, or if the board wants to, have more discussion before we approve, that's obviously okay too. But based upon last month's study session, these were the conclusions we came to.
Discussion? Ben, go.
Well, I'm still trying to sort this out, and I've spent a lot of time on it. And I think where we are is we've gone down 3 different paths, or we're about to go down 3 different paths. We have an existing strategic plan with these goals, and then we have all these strategies behind a strategic plan. And you can't take the strategies one for one and put them to each of these goals, because there's more strategies to achieve the goals than what we have on the SMART goals. So that's one path. The other path is the action items, the steps that the principals have taken. And they basically have three that they have focused on, and that's ELA, math, and attendance. So attendance doesn't even roll up into the SMART goals. And it's been stressed that that's very important right now to raise test scores. You got to have the kids in the classroom. So these action steps are based on district assessments, but the SMART goals are not based on district assessments. They're based on the state standardized assessments. So I think we have a disconnect there. So here's one path. The strategic plan, existing strategic plan is a second path, and then the third path would be these SMART goals that you can't roll back into the other two and say it's connected. So that's where I'm at, is that we've got three different paths. They're not integrated. We've got a change that we may make here in the middle of the school year, and we have to be careful on how it affects the bonuses for the principals and the superintendent, because they're tied to the strategic plan. So I'm not, I think these goals are probably good, but it's just not connected. I don't know if I explained that very well. I hope I did.
Oh, okay.
Would it be possible, like, to connect the three? If we took more time, like, I guess, to try to, would it be possible to connect the three if we took more time to make sure they all integrate within one another?
So the problem, as I see it, is we are leading the district. So it's not the district leading us. We need to set the examples, or we need to set the goals that the district needs to follow. And for the first time, I've seen SMART goals that are measurable from the different schools. I didn't see that before, so I'm very happy to see that. But in our prior goals, SMART goals, whatever, none of those were measurable. So how can we ask our schools to provide information to us that we can't measure? And we can't measure them if our goals aren't saying they're measurable. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. But if you go to any training, anywhere, all your goals should be measurable. SMART goals are measurable goals that you know where your students are, where they're going to grow to, so you can see, the average person can see, not just us, that this is where we're at with our students as far as growth, as far as measuring where they're standing. And the only thing I have with the first priority, I wouldn't have done it this way, but this is fine. But the one is, by the end of 28 and 29 school year, student achievement results for mathematics in grade 3-8 will be at above the state average or measured by the mathematics portion. So there's not really a percentage in there of how much they're going to be above the standardized assessment. That would be the only thing that I would like to see. But
Marcia, can I jump in there real quick?
Sure.
It'd be really hard to do that because at the end of the strategic plan, we have no idea what the state average is.
Right.
So one year it might be 30, the next year it might be 43, the next year. So by keeping it general, it doesn't lock us, because let's say the state average is 30. Well, we don't want to shoot for that. We would want to shoot for above this. I think it's relative, so it could really change. And then the second thing is, we didn't also define what the state assessment is, because we're on the verge of the state assessment. So try to keep the two areas that are fluid, and otherwise you're going to have to come back and change it every single year. So this keeps us,
As long as it's above, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's why at or above the state average. So no matter what that is, if we're at or above, we've achieved that goal. Because we have no way of knowing what that state average is going to be what are we in 20, so in 3 years?
But I do think it's important that we have measurable goals, because how will our schools know? I mean, our goals should be their goals, that what they do reflects where our goals. And if we don't have measurable goals or what we think our expectations are, how can the school plan so that they can meet those expectations or those goals?
Can we say that these strategic plan SMART goals take effect in June 30th or July 1st? I mean, because the principals have already presented theirs. So they're going to be evaluated on that for the 25-26 year. And starting in 25 or 26-27, then these will be, we expect them to come back with goals that mesh with this.
Sure, if that's what the board would like to do tonight, sure.
I mean, we're not saying, oh, all of a sudden, middle of the year, we're moving the goal.
Sure.
We didn't have measurable goals. They gave us some measurable goals, and now we're saying those were good. Starting next year, use this format to write your measurable goals for the district. Is that
Again, I would disagree with that.
what? You want to change the goals in the middle of the year?
I want to change it now because our schools are already doing that. I mean, they're already changing how they evaluate their students. And if we don't do that now, then we're telling them, this is what you want to do, but you know what? We're not going to do it yet. You see what I'm saying? I'd love to ask a principal. But what I'm saying is they have come back for the first time that I know of with measurable goals, saying this is what we expect for our kids, this is how much growth we expect.
We've done it for 2 years now.
Oh, 2 years, okay. And this is what we're expecting. But as a board, we're not saying that. So we're saying measurable goals aren't important to us, but our school districts are telling us, yes, they are.
I guess I'd like to make a point of clarification. The
Okay.
strategic plan on the strategies are measurable. And if you look at that, the problem with them is they're not time-bound. So they're not a SMART goal because they're not time-bound.
You said our goals are measurable?
Yeah, if you look at the strategies,
Those are strategies, those are not goals.
well, we're at odds in on terminology because the goals then, the district goals are 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I won't support that, I won't vote for it.
Okay, well, whatever they are, that were itemized under the strategic plan goals to begin with, that strategy was measurable and they had indicators. So that's it, but they weren't time-bound. So
A
I
strategy
agree.
is not a goal. A strategy supports the goal. The goal is measurable in any
Okay.
strategy.
What-
Strategy that is put forth is to monitor or to support those measurable goals and how they're going to do it.
Well, these strategies were actions. So I don't know what to say at this point.
Okay, so do you want to vote in this? And if it fails, then we give the superintendent direction of where we want him to take these? Or do you just want to give direction to the superintendent how you want to change them?
Can I say one more thing?
Jess?
You know, the superintendent sent this to us. I'm curious did board members even respond to this, to give him feedback so that we're, again, I don't know, we're going back to step one because we're going to look at this again, and I just don't know if the board members even looked at it, and if they did, why didn't they provide that feedback at that time so we could have looked at this? And I don't know what board members did or didn't.
I received feedback, yes, from several board
Okay.
members. Either via email or in person, and/or in person.
So guidance, how do we want to go from this point?
Either amend the current proposal or vote on it, and if it passes, it passes, if it fails, it fails, and then you can either amend it, or if it fails, then you can say for further discussion.
Okay, I make a motion, the board accept the new smart gals as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second, further discussion?
Quick question. So I'm looking at the strategic plan we went over in the past.
Yeah.
And it looks the same except for the fact that we're putting percentages on it. Is that what we're doing?
We're measuring them. Our goals are measurable. They're SMART goals.
So it just made it smarter because we're putting percentage on it.
Right.
So
And a time.
It's the same goal.
And a time.
Pretty
It's the same
much.
strategic we're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, Ms. De La Cruz, members of the board, it's not necessarily impacting the strategies we're using to reach the goals. It's more saying this is how we're going to measure the effectiveness of all those strategies. So I think the real implications for us in the room and staff is it's more going to change how we report our progress as opposed to changing what we're doing, so to speak.
So President Roletto, I probably won't support the motion as it is, and I'd like to explain that. I agree with these SMART goals, and I think they should be delayed, as you proposed, until the beginning of next school year. And we have given direction through the existing strategic plan to the staff. So implementing these at this time, I probably won't agree with, but I certainly would agree with it in the future.
Okay.
But we're not gonna do this until the next school year, then the results will be for the 28, 29 school year?
26, 27 is coming up.
Well, based on the action item, if we vote on this, it happens now, right? I mean, isn't that what we have?
Are the staff aware already? So then I think that they-
Some of us, but not the whole staff.
Well, I mean, we're going to hold them accountable to the goals they gave us in August, correct? At the end of the year, that's how they get their bonuses.
Correct.
Now, this is kind of overlying that, and we expect that in August, they'll present it as another one that shows us that they're approaching, what would that be, 26, 27, 27, 28, 20, they have 3 years to meet this goal.
Because the overall strategic plan is a 5-year plan. So the 28, 29 school year is our target to reach these goals, but every school has incremental goals along the way every school year.
So if we vote on it tonight, when will the staff know? Tonight, I guess, as soon as we vote on it?
I would say, you have to give us some time to kind of do our document. If we vote on it to take effect immediately, I would say in a few weeks, we have winter break, so probably a few weeks when we return from winter break. If it's going to be implemented at the beginning of the next school year, we would make sure we share it prior to the end of the school year, but not as soon as January.
This is nothing new to them, it's just the way they're reporting it. So they're already aware of this information, how to pull it up and how to put it together.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the way they're gonna report it to
Yes.
Okay, more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
So 4 ayes, Mr. Blackson, nay. Thank you. Board self-evaluation, now the fun part. I would say we go through these, and like number 1, shouldn't be any discussion on that. Unanimous, what is superior? What's S? Satisfactory? needs improvement, unsatisfactory, satisfactory. Discussion on 1. 2, we had some needs improvement. Anyone want to comment? Okay. Moving on, 3, all satisfactory. 4, 3 said needs improvement. Discussion?
The reason I marked this one is because we don't really have access to the community. I mean, I see Tartesso chat, but as far as community, there's not a whole lot of avenue to present to the community. I mean, the different,
Welcome to the Far West Valley.
pardon?
Welcome to the Far West
I
Valley.
know, yeah,
We have no
so I
newspaper, we
couldn't
have no-
say that members are accessible to gain information in the community because it's just not that opportunity, or I haven't seen it yet, except for at the various groups I belong to.
Well, to me, it's groups and just being open to the community to talk to me, but, you know, they'd rather get on Facebook and throw tomatoes.
Well, I don't think we're getting all the information that we'd like to have, let's put it that way,
Oh, I agree.
yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on 4? 5, 2 people said needs improvement. I think I said needs improvement because the bond and override failed, but we need to take some ownership of that somehow. We didn't get the information out there, the importance.
I disagree about getting the information out there. I mean, we walked the neighborhoods, we made phone calls. I think, 70 people put their heart and soul into getting this bond passed, and I don't think it was a lack of what we did. I think it's a lack of the community voting.
Oh, well, that's true. I mean, turnout was dismal, so
Yeah.
maybe it should say is, how do we inform the district that it's important to get out and vote? Number 6, all satisfactory. 7, someone says we need improvement, discussion.
I think that was me.
Okay.
Because the only way that we can communicate with each other is during the board meeting. And I feel like sometimes, and I don't want to be this way, but sometimes I feel like I'm manipulating the conversation of the board because other members will not speak up. And I know as a board member, I like to hear what other board members think because sometimes it changes what I think.
I can concur with that. I like people to disagree with me and tell me why, because quite often I come up with stupid ideas. Okay, comments. Board members do not have open communication with other board members, do not speak freely during board meetings. Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. You wish other board members would disagree with you, or?
Yeah, whatever, agree with me, disagree, whatever. I mean, this is the only time that I can communicate with other board members. And so I think it's important that I know what you think, that I know what Dan thinks. And sometimes I feel like we don't get that information.
Anyone want to speak to the second comment? Any other discussion on the first one? I'm sorry.
Mr. President, may I just interject something
Sure.
real quick? It's more just for community.
No, input.
What's what I'm looking for? Understanding is that we have something called open meeting law. So if any time 3 board members are going to communicate with one another, whether it's a board meeting, text message, phone call, email, it has to be posted out there as a meeting. So it's very difficult, just by the nature of the law, for board members to have discussion outside of this room. That's what they're just, I wanted to clarify that. It's not from a lack of wanting to, it's from the way the law is structured.
Well, we can have study sessions and get into in-depth discussions about various topics, as long as it's posted and any member in the public can be there to hear what we're saying. So any comment on that second one? Comment? Okay. Number one, on behaviors. We have one needs improvement. Two looks good.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, may I ask a question?
Sure.
If we can go back to the previous one. I'm just curious if,
Which one?
that one right there. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm just
number one.
curious on what, if anybody has any insight as to what constitutes a controversial matter. I think that's a subjective term. This is just for my own direction so that I can, if we deem something that's controversial, I make sure I give you the information you need to be able to be informed about that but I struggle with identifying, I communicate with you the things I probably think are controversial, but what I think is controversial may not be what Mr. Blackson thinks is controversial. So if there's any room for us to have any direction there to help me provide you with the information you need, and I don't even know if I expect you to have an answer for that right now, but that's something I would just like to think about moving forward is if we could, and this is probably not even the right time, but at some
What's the
point
right time? I'll tell
define
you.
what controversial is, because I think that can help me provide you with the information. I can anticipate, but I'm not all-knowing either. So if that's something we could think about for the future is how we can help me define what controversial is.
Well, I don't think it's so much enabling the superintendent to properly carry out the wishes of the board. I think sometimes the board's not clear on what they're asking the superintendent to do. Or I think the superintendent might not be totally clear. I mean, I know we vote on it. Well, we don't vote on everything, but when we have discussions and that sort of thing, it might not be clear on what, and it could be controversial matters, it could be anything, but it wasn't so much your role, it was more our role.
Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like I can support you in fulfilling that role if I'm able to better anticipate what constitutes a controversial matter to front-load that information with you. Am I making sense, or am I making a mountain out of a molehill here?
Well, my thought was if I thought a controversial matter was coming up, you know, I hear something rumbling out in the community, that I'd talk to you about it. And then if you want to carry that on in your weekly presentation or even during the board meeting, then you would clarify where we stand on it. But right now, I can't think of a controversial matter in the community that I expect you to address. That,
No, I guess I'm just moving forward, if there's, and it's not that you guys don't do this already, so that if something becomes controversial, that either make sure I'm aware of it so I can get you the information you need to help you establish your position on the controversial
Right.
matter, is kind of what I'm getting at.
well, before, I was really pushing for a family life class. And, I mean, one of my stupid ideas, whatever, and we discussed it and decided, you know, we didn't want to pursue it anymore. So, I mean, that would have been a controversial matter, but we gave the superintendent direction on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that clarify?
Yeah.
Going 3, 5, 6, 7, make an effort to become acquainted with personnel of the district. It's tough, and I may have put that I could do better.
How can you do better if you can't go in the schools except for the visits? And I'm just going to say it. I mean, where else do we see school personnel? I mean, I know we go to band concerts or something like that, but for me to make an effort to become acquainted with the personnel of the district, I don't come to this office, very rarely. Going through the school, you know, I might shake the hand of somebody, but personally, I don't know who they are. I mean, I know they're a teacher or a custodial worker or something like that, but I think this one is very difficult to do.
And do you want to? You know, how much, we only have one employee. All the rest work for him.
Yeah, well, I'm not managing them.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them what to do. I think that's the guideline here is, I'm not managing anybody. I can ask questions as a board member, but I'm not telling them what to do.
Yeah.
I just want knowledge or to get acquainted with the personnel of the district.
And I do some of that at the food pantry, so, And especially if they live outside the district, I don't run into them much. Okay?
That
8,
one I've done if you volunteer at the school. You
pardon?
used to do that, volunteer at the school, then you get to meet, even just by judging the science fair at an
Yeah.
elementary school. I know for me it gets harder now because my kid's out of school, so I don't see them, but when, if I can, like, the other day when my son goes, oh, I need to pick up something from Mr. Duchesne. I said, do you need me to come with you, Mr. Adult? So I did go with him just so I could at least say hi to the front desk people. Of course, I wasn't allowed to go in the back because I was there as a parent, but at least I got to see them.
Right.
It's as much as I can do right now. So,
Well, so I volunteered I was going to volunteer at one of the schools, and the first thing she said to me was, I have to get that approved from Dr. Winters. And I said, I don't work for Dr. Winters. So you do, so if you need to get it approved, you can go ahead and do that. So
Ms. Marcelo, I think that's a misunderstanding. There's no approval needed. There's just, hey, a board member's coming to my school, just informing me.
right,
So I can reiterate make sure we have a clear understanding of that. There's no approval needed. And I think every school administrator in the history of schools notifies their superintendent when a board member is present on campus. I did it. Every principal I know does that. But I think another challenge is, we go to schools, everyone there is working. They're like,
Right.
we can't stop teaching to have, you can go and
Have
see things, but
conversations, right.
there's not a lot of time to, hey, let's have a 15-minute conversation. Well, I'm trying to,
yeah,
so, because that was the misinformation, I would say you get directly with the teacher or that person, and then that person's gonna be expecting you, go to the front desk, you tell them, oh, so-and-so's expecting me, I'm volunteering in the classroom, in the kitchen, whatever.
right,
Then you have a connection where they're not like, oh, who's like Dr. Winter said, people can't stop. They have to,
Right, no.
especially in the front desk. So if you have I'm volunteering for so-and-so's classroom, then it's directly right there, and then they'll call the teacher and go, so-and-so's here already for you.
I go in the break rooms sometimes, and, I know a lot of them anyway, so, but I think the important thing to remember is that if you do visit the schools, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're following our guidelines, and that's no management, don't tell them what to do, we're not their boss, we're just there to say hello and ask questions, maybe. And I would hope nobody be intimidated by me, but they might be.
you can hope all you want,
I
Ms.
know.
Bassett, but
You can never take that hat off.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. So 9, board makes an effort to keep informed about instructional programs and school condition by providing for periodic reports as deemed necessary and by periodic visits. That seems worded strangely. The superintendent gives us periodic reports. Discussion? Number 9. Okay. 10, board maintains policy necessary to enable education staff to develop education program required to meet the needs of students. Someone said we need improvement.
I think we'll get that when we start going over the policies.
Okay. 11, 12, professionalism demonstrates behaviors such as adhering to laws and district policies and meeting preparation, interaction, attire, and promptness. I put on a jacket tonight. A white shirt. What else? Discussion? 13 board members are actively engaged, participate, and contribute during meetings.
I just think that goes back to the openness.
Pardon?
I think that just goes back to the openness
Okay.
of the board members.
So you'd say you'd like to see other people be more
More open,
open? Okay,
whether I agree or not,
yeah.
doesn't
Okay.
matter.
I don't feel intimidated by you, I don't know. 14 board members participate in professional development and training. 15 board members participate in development of district goals and support their implementation. Board 16, board strives to provide resources to ensure district facilities are adequate and equitable for all students. Support positive legislation for education, engage in political processes involving interaction with elected officials as an individual board members. So two people say they could do better, is that what they're saying?
Well, since it's individual board members, I'm going to say that I'm the one that said needs improvement for myself, because
Yeah.
when I was in Anchorage, I was always up on the hill talking to legislators. I'm not as familiar here, and I'm trying to strive for the state school board, not state school board, but ASBA, I never can get it right, to do more advocating where we're including board members and students. So that's where I'm trying to make a change.
Okay, and in the past we did, but the guy went for the governor, so hopefully with new leadership, they'll change again this year.
Yeah.
But remind me, let's talk later about that. I got some networking for you. Comments on that one? First one, self-explanatory. Well, understand. The third one is I tried to be a better acquainted. And the third one belongs on the superintendent's evaluation. Okay. The priorities, challenges for the board faces, any discussion?
Keep scrolling, Mr. Scott.
Pardon?
Do you want me to keep scrolling?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's, okay, I was scrolling on mine, okay. Yeah, scroll on down then. And then strength, weaknesses you observed in the operation of the governing board. Okay, this was listed under actions. Does the board want any actions? Want to make a motion to do any actions, or? Originally, Dr. Winters had it as a report and then action. I said, just put it all together. If we decide to do an action, fine. If not, we'll move on the agenda.
President Romero, I'd like to suggest, because of all of the low scores and the challenges identified by the board, that we have a study session to go through this maybe in more detail and come out with some actions.
Okay. And when would we like to do that?
We have 3 study sessions coming up, right?
We do. I was going to mention that, just as a reminder. So a couple of options. We could lengthen, well, I need to look at my calendar first to make sure that but relatively, we can lengthen the study session that we already have to first do this, then do because I already have the attorney scheduled for 4 o'clock on those dates. So we could meet at 2 or 3 and then go into the board policies. Or we could, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I like to do it because we're already going to be here anyway. But if we need to try to coordinate another day where we could do it, or I know it might be a little bit too long, but we could do it in April because we don't have one scheduled for April. But that being said, after we go through the first 3 study sessions, we might need another one. So I'd like, kind of like to leave that window. So those are kind of the options I see is doing it, is start one of our next 3 study sessions earlier than we have planned. Just trying to coordinate a day somewhere we're all available, which is challenging, but it's an option. Or we try to do something towards the end of the year, which then again, the drawback there is this is longer and longer since we've had this discussion.
No
And
action.
and if you have other ideas, Phil, but those are the 3 options I see.
I think it would be better to evaluate it sooner than later, so we can correct whatever the issues are.
And I guess we don't necessarily need the superintendent, since it's a board evaluation.
Well, that's true.
So we want to be tied to his schedule necessarily.
So the scheduling, would you all prefer to do it like at 2 o'clock in January before the meeting, then we have the other study session at 4?
Whatever you guys decide, I'm fine with.
It makes a long day, but Ms. Dela Cruz, what? You're the full-time employee, or you're the business owner. What would you prefer, a separate day or the same day?
I prefer a separate one.
Amy said separate?
I would prefer a separate one because I have my small kids and I have to go to somebody else during that time.
Take them to grandma or, yeah.
Yeah, until my husband gets off work, so.
Is our next board meeting, do we have a lot on it? I mean, we could do it right after the board meeting, couldn't we? Or right before?
Well, we have study sessions.
We have a study
All
session
right.
before for
Oh, that's
the
right.
policies.
Yeah.
So it would be before the study session for policies.
And we have not began to craft the January agenda, so I can't answer that, provide any input on that right now.
I'm sorry, say that.
We have not begun to craft the January agenda to know what's going to be on it.
I could do a morning, like I could find someone like to come in earlier, like whatever, but I also
Yeah, because I work at night, so for me it's hard. It's hard enough to come here on Wednesdays, and so
I
that's
could do a morning if you prefer one morning.
if you're able to find somebody.
I could do it. I know some people.
You bring the coffee, I'll be here.
You have to be in the meeting.
That's frozen.
Members of the board, does the morning of January 13th work?
It's not a Friday, is it?
It's a Tuesday.
Sure, it's empty right now for me, I'm good.
I'll make that work, January 13th. I don't have my,
Before I have any more meetings.
You don't want?
I don't have my planner with me.
Oh.
I have a paper one, I don't use my phone, I guess.
On a
I'm not cool
Tuesday.
with you guys.
I think I'm good. I'm subbing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
I'm old
And if that morning does work, what time?
school.
So I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
And I can do that morning, as
Later on.
long as it's not like 5 or 6 in the morning and I have to get up at 3. So that's all I ask.
I'm just saying I'm available at 5 a.m. if you want.
Well, is 8 too early?
What is it?
8 o'clock on January 13th?
Amy will just have to check our calendars.
No, I'm here. We can do it.
Okay.
Would you like that as an action item? Like, is that gonna be the vote? Or is that for the minutes?
What do you think? Do we need to?
The vote would
I don't
be
know
to
that we need a
postpone.
No, it's like the study sessions. It's just the superintendent schedules it and,
So there's no vote?
correct.
Well, we
I
have
don't-
to do
There's no
something.
vote.
I don't think there's a need for any action.
For further discussion.
Well, that'll just show up on the next
Well,
agenda.
the vote is to-
After the study session, if we have something, then in February.
Okay, so we can make a motion to take, or take action to reconvene for a study session to go over those, or discuss the results.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
second.
I recommend that the board.
Amy did it.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
So I need a second on Amy's motion.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. Go back to F3, student activity funds.
Yeah. If we could go to that.
Can you pull that up? Miss Skirts, Mrs. Skirts? Any particular,
Oh, gosh, I can't see that. So there was, first of all, what's OOTM? Oh, okay, okay. There's something in here that says,
and Ms. King, this is being,
other,
oh,
okay.
this is being kept up? I mean, my thought was, I looked at it last year, it looks pretty thin as far as entries.
So,
And
yes,
I was
sir.
just questioning if all of them were making it in.
Yes, sir, we're working on making sure, let me back up. We are in the process of moving all of this information into the general ledger, which is where legally it belongs, and then running reports directly from there. But we are still running both the Excel sheet as well as the general ledger at this time. In other words, we have already moved everything in the general ledger, but we're just wanting to make sure, because we've got like Odyssey of the Mind, when they reconciled their records with our records, it was off by a little bit, and we want to do a little bit more research because we know there were several months that there was no one monitoring it last year. So we just want to make sure that we've got our records pretty solid prior to doing away with this report and running just the student activity reports off of the general ledger.
So when you say the general ledger, where's that? I mean, this
So-
is an Excel spreadsheet that's kept, where's the
Right, so
general
you know how
ledger?
you have oh, what's it called? The budget, doggone it, sorry.
The
I've been
fund
up since
balance?
2 AM, pardon me. So the budget balance report is directly out of the
Right.
GL. There is what's called a general ledger report writer where we can modify and create reports specific to any of the 7 elements of the chart of accounts. When you're looking at this report, this second column that has all these 4-digit numbers, that is corresponding directly with the 7th element of the chart of accounts. And so what we've been doing is taking this information and making sure that with fund and the unit code, being the site code or the school,
Okay.
and then adding that 4-digit code in that 7th position. So we're having to journal all revenue in that way because it can only go to the treasury under the fund number. So once it's in the treasury, though, we look for it within the next business day, and then we pull it forward. We do a journal, stick it right where it's supposed to, along the lines of the 7th position. So the idea is that hopefully in the next quarter or two, we'll be ready to create a similar
To the fund balance.
report, but it's
Okay.
going to be run directly out of the GL rather than trying to keep 2 separate records.
Sounds great, thank you. That's what I thought you were saying. Go ahead, Ms. Emerald.
So I know a lot of booster clubs are running their fundraiser, all the sports and fundraisers through Booster right now. Is it true that they're not allowed to spend this money in the accounts because there's a freeze on new purchase orders right now? Because that's if it's misinformation, that's what they're telling parents.
No, that's all right. I'm not sure I fully understand. So
That they can't spend the money in the club account, so they're
Having the money go through Booster account, which is not on here. The Booster has their own account, so that money's not accounted for by you. So they're saying that the reason we're using the Booster account fully, 100%, and not having our fundraisers through the school account is because we're not allowed to spend it right now, like there's no new purchase orders allowed?
So thank you for sharing that with me. That is not the message that I have put out there. I'm sorry to hear if that is the message that they are hearing. but that is not the message that has been stated. And I know I was asked to go to one of the school sites and talk with their administration, and I did, and it was in November, and I told them they are to use these. That's what they're for. So it surprises me and it kind of saddens me to hear that perhaps that was misunderstood, as instead of please use the accounts for which they are intended, turned into perhaps not use the accounts. This is student money. As far as the state of Arizona is concerned, this is student money. So the student body needs to be spending it. The auxiliary is for your fines and fees, your dues. As the students pay them, it goes into 525, needs to be used. 526, that's your tax credit. People are giving money, they're donating money, and then their AZDOR is giving them, whatever they give them off their taxes. That's wonderful, that's fantastic. It's a great way to raise money for a school district or for different school sites. But that mistake that I just made grammatically, I want you to hear me. Tax credit is never to be held in the district account. Tax credit is always to be assigned directly to a site. So when we receive tax credit donations, say a check comes in, it needs to specifically state which school it's going to, period. Now, it doesn't have to state which club, doesn't have to state that it's for music or for art or for math or for science, but it has to state the site. I have not found records to support that we're always able, for prior years, to find it in the GL. We have the records in hard copy, but that's a whole lot of digging through, right? So what we've done this year is we've made sure, let's comply with the law, right? The law says that's where it's supposed to go, that's what we're gonna do. The law says we're supposed to have it in our GL, that's what we're gonna do. So we've got it in our GL, we're tracking it in our GL, right? But it needs to be used. Tax credit money that is assigned to a soccer club, let's just say it's soccer over at Ruth Fisher. Okay, that's fantastic, I love that. We have $400 that was donated for soccer at Ruth Fisher. It never gets used. 2 years go by, it has to be 2 years, and site council has to get involved before we're allowed to realign that money to a music program. So we want to make sure that our tax credit is really taken care of and taken seriously. 850 is your fundraising account. We got to do exactly what the fundraiser's for. If the fundraiser says we're raising funds so we can go to Scotland, then by gum, we are only using that money to go to Scotland. That's all we can use it for, right? Has to be done that way. And then 530, that's your gifts and donations. That does have a little bit more leeway, right? Somebody can actually donate. Maybe you win the lotto and you want to donate to your local school district. We'll let you. You can put it, and we'll put it in 530, right? But it is best if you want to donate that you say, hey, I do want this to go to this school. Or maybe you say, I don't care which school it goes to, but I really want to see the robotics group really get more robust. Okay, they can do that in 530, right? So that's your little things. But as far as spending the money, please spend the money. That's why it's there. The kids are earning it or paying for it or whatever, they got to be able to use it.
So when they say we have $4,000 in our account, but we can't make a new purchase order right now because they said no new purchase orders, that's false.
So that is not coming from my office.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
Oh, my other concern there is if students are doing fundraising and they're pushing it through the Booster Club would be a problem. The Booster Club does fundraising and students do fundraising, and the money shouldn't go in between.
Which is Booster Club fundraising.
Okay. Okay, did you get answers?
No, I haven't asked anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, greatest needs, what is that? Greatest needs.
I can answer it.
Oh.
So when it comes to tax credit, as Ms. King just alluded, you can donate to a very specific program. So when I do my tax credit, I donate to the Odyssey of the Mind group because my assistant is the sponsor, so I give her group the tax credit. But other folks might say, I want to donate it to Ruth Fisher Robotics. I might want to donate it to Desert Sunset and I'm gonna make so that after-school art program, we may not understand, okay? But when you do a tax credit donation, you can also mark down greatest need. But as she said, so greatest need at Tonopah Valley High School. So it's not earmarked for any specific extracurricular activity. That's one of the functions of a site council. So if there's an extracurricular that needs assistance, the principal would take that to the site council. The site council would then vote on whether they want to allow the principal to use those funds to take care of that particular extracurricular activity. So it's just a way that a taxpayer can earmark their donations. They don't have to necessarily direct it directly to a group. They can do greatest need at a certain school.
I understand why that would be on tax credits, but why do we have, how does it get in there on a 525?
I think
So
that's a great
Tonopah Valley High
question.
School has $2,500 in greatest need under 525 auxiliary funds.
Yes, that's a great question. When people write their checks, they're writing them at the school sites, and we have to direct it where they direct it. Now, why would something end up in 525? I have no idea. That sounds like that is a gifts and donations and should probably be journaled, right?
Should have gone to,
But I'm going to have to go back and look at the original paperwork to find out why it's there.
but then the site council should be looking at that 2,500 and say, we can use this in drama.
I would
or-
love that if site council wants to jump in and help be a second set of eyes. That would be lovely.
Okay,
I have one other question.
yes, go ahead, Ms. Marcel.
So at the high school, we have a budget of 56,000 for technology. What does that encompass?
Wait,
Ms. Marcette, which fund are you looking at?
I'm looking at the high school, it's 6023, and it's $56,314.
but she's still on the student activity funds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's right here.
Under 525.
Technology club,
It's both tennis and weight training.
money,
It's under the high school.
no,
6023.
Bolton's not here.
Yeah, it's second page from the last.
I am so sorry. I'm not seeing it right away, but that's okay. I believe you, because I know that some of these balances are really high. And that's just representative of what they have earned over the years. That's it.
Well, they're
Whatever's,
still,
and these are cash accounts. These are not budget-controlled accounts. There is no budget in here. These are not budget-controlled accounts.
So
These
those
are literally no different than your personal checking account. The money comes in, the money goes out. That's period. If you bring in $1,000 and you want to spend $1,500, you can only spend $1,000.
but what it says to me is there's a club called Technology, and they earned 10,000, they spent 20,000.
Well, I know that we've got a technology club and we've got, we've got some technology and we've got,
Robotics.
what am I trying to say?
Robotics,
The business, one of the business groups.
SBLA,
Marketing or something. Anyway, huge balances. And since the money has not been spent, it has to sit there now for 2 years before anybody can decide how they're going to spend it.
Carpenter skills.
So it will sit there and it can't be used for other things. Now, the state does allow for, provided it stays in the same fund, but it will allow for one club to borrow money from another club. But just the whole purpose that the state has is that students are learning how business works. So there has to be a full agreement, it has to be in writing, the site council has to be involved. I myself do not promote that, but I can understand how in some situations, when you have a couple clubs that just literally have a lot of money sitting there, that perhaps somebody else might want to use them like a bank. And I think that if the district chooses to go that route, we need to be very careful, very cautious, and make sure everything is in writing and very clear as to how it will be paid back prior to visiting that little.
but you're saying we have a club that has a lot,
No.
oh, you're saying you've known of clubs?
Well, the technology club right there has $45,000 in it.
Yeah, but they're also making 10,000 and spending 20, so,
Right.
That can't be the marketing though, because the marketing is under CTE.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a marketing group on there that the last time I looked,
Yeah,
they had quite a
exactly.
bit of money in there.
Is
Yeah.
that the Shades group? Because I know they do, I purchase for my business stickers from him. So I know, like whatever posters I need, it's just kind of like, you know, use the school for, you know.
Graphics and design, yeah. Yep.
And I know he does that on the outside. So I don't know if that's the Shane's group right there, the technology, if it's under that, no, it's not.
Graphics and design,
So that'll be graphics, so
not CTE.
what's technology then?
Yeah, I just think that's a lot of money in one group, and I don't see anything close to that. So I would question what constitutes those funds.
What I don't see on here for CTE is software. Oh, never mind, that's right.
Alicia, can you scroll up just a little bit, please? A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
Then you get into other sites.
Oh, Ms. King, is that possible that the technology is the fees for Chromebook repairs and things of that nature?
It could be.
Because that,
If it's in 525,
Yeah, it's
that's
in
the fee. So
525.
it could be something that's been
So
collected for years.
we'll verify, but I don't think it's a club. I think it's our fees that we collect for the $30 Chromebook fee. That would align a lot more with the total, but we'll verify that. That's what that is.
Should it be there if we're collecting fees and it's not a,
Yes, because it goes in Fund 525. It's a student collected fee.
yeah, I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that one.
their insurance really isn't insurance, it's just a fee, right?
It's insurance.
I mean, is that held by an outside company, or,
Yes.
oh, okay.
As you work through this, could you identify exactly which ones are clubs? Because like, take weight training, which is just a couple down below technology. They had some money come in, they got almost $7,000. Is that a club?
The class, you pay $10 or something for a lock.
It's not a club. Weight training's not a club.
So
I'm going to go with
Are
it's not a,
fees- are
it's
those
not a
type of
club, it's
fees on
apparently a
this?
class. What's that?
are those type of fees on this list then?
For 525, yes. 525 would be like if you have a fee for a science lab, if we had a,
So,
well, weight club.
so somehow can those things be separated out between clubs and greatest needs and fees? Because all the clubs that do fundraising should have a constitution, right?
Right, that's under 850, so that's Fund 850.
Yeah, but I look at these and I look at NHS. I'm pretty sure it's a club, but it doesn't say it's a club.
Oh, so you just want me to identify more
Clubs.
clearly?
Clubs.
Instead of just numbers, I guess.
You got it.
Thank you.
So my
Okay.
question is, do we want to approve this, or do we want to wait until we get clarification on the technology?
I say approve it, it's a mandated monthly report that comes before the board.
And I also want to add for clarification, once all this information is moved over to the general ledger, this reporting will be this is a function of years of the district maintaining this report and literally an Excel spreadsheet when it should have been in that place all along. And we've made changes personnel-wise to get it where it needs to be. And so as we phase this out, it'll help make it a lot more. But this is fossils of previous.
But we've always done it this way. I agree, thank you.
My least favorite statement.
No, mine too. They're like, okay, you know the ham story. But anyway, so do we have a motion on this?
It is recommended that the board approve the student activities report.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, approve student activity fund balance statements. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Unanimous. So that finishes actions, future meetings and events.
Mr. President, members of the board, So I think we scheduled a study session for Tuesday, January 13th, 2026, by the way. Make sure when you write your checks, make sure you sign them off as, okay. I think it's a joke. At 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll make sure we get an invite for that, followed by our study session and board meeting on the 14th, starting at 4 o'clock. That study session is going to involve the review of the first 3 chapters of our new policy manual. So what we are going to do is, by end of business next Friday, we will send you chapters 1, 2, 3 as we have gone through and collaborated with the trust on what those are going to look like. My ask is that between Friday and January 14th, if you could please read those and then take any notes you have, questions, comments, and bring those to the study session so that we are getting those questions and concerns addressed in the study session and not spending a study session literally reading every single, that would take us probably 3 years to do that. So that's kind of going to be your homework for each of those 3 study sessions. So chapters 1 through 3 are shorter, then chapter 4 is longer, and chapter 5 is really long. So you'll have roughly a month to kind of get through it all, but make notes, write down questions. We will be here, of course. Jennifer McLennan from the trust will be here, their attorney, to help answer any questions we have. So right now, our plan is to have 3 study sessions. If we are ready for adoption at the April governing board meeting, we will do that. If we need an additional study session, we can do that. Our goal is to have the new policy manual ready and adopted by the May board meeting, so that we now have time as administration we have to go through and change all the places in the district where board policy is referenced. So handbook, student, staff, website, there's a bunch of places where policy is quoted. We need the time to change all those to the new policy manual prior to the beginning of the new school year. So that's our deadline really is May's meeting, but if we're ready in April, by all means, we can do it then too. So that's going to be the game plan moving forward for the policy manual.
Okay. Any other board comments?
Is it, I don't know if I should ask this.
Oh, go ahead.
Is it premature for us to say whether we're going to put the bond and override on the ballot again this year?
That's we have a time frame to make. I think it would be. I think we need to discuss what that looks like. Just from my perspective, and at the end of the day, I don't get to decide this. I think we have to. But what that looks like, what the ask might be, we might want to talk about what that looks like. I don't know that we run back the exact same ask. I think that's pretty clear.
Do you want to tack that on a study session on the 13th?
Sure.
I mean, I just think it'd be good for the board to, have a open conversation rather than at the DS.
But we got to follow procedure to make sure that that's.
Yeah.
It might be premature.
So the answer to your question is yes,
Yeah.
but we'll make sure we follow all the proper channels to get to that point.
Well, the fact that we discussed it a little bit means it's probably time for the whole board to weigh in together. Okay. So after a 5-minute break, do we have a motion to go into executive session for?
I move that the board go into executive session.
I'll second it.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Was,
Mr. Blackson, I'd like to amend, or can you amend it to include 384303A1?
yeah, I was looking for that. Yeah,
It's in the
yes,
second
As
one.
amended.
As amended? Okay. And your second, his
I'll
amendment.
second it.
It's just that I was surprised. Anyway, we have to say which chapter, which is employment and assignment. Anyway, it's an employment contact. So, do we have a motion in? I'm sorry, we got a motion. All in favor of going to executive session after a 5-minute for, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Unanimous. I'm sorry. That's why we can't have a. Oh, next month,
are gonna be here on the 13th?
next month there'll be somebody else that says
I
it.
think it sounded like it.
Will it be all of it? Like,
We'll
will
have-
it be
yeah.
us and
Well,
the cabinet?
It'll be me.
Because I'll go to Einstein Bagel.
I don't know the rest of the, I'll check with the rest of the cabinet if they're available. I'm available, I don't know what everybody else is available.
What are you trying to say?
No, a friend of mine, they basically built a cage in the back.
Yeah, see, I was thinking about you because I teach. Yeah. And unfortunately, I work full time, but I work late.
And then we'll stand outside for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were wondering.
That's sweet, like, I don't want that, don't do that. Very tired. Deeply honest. Yeah, you're teaching them, you can't teach it, you know. It's school. It's bad enough when I study session and stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Well, at school, like, you know, we great.
Yeah, no, do all your work. That's why my son does it when he did remote learning. Because I get all my work done, and I have to sit there now and listen to all the teachers talk online.
That's great. He doesn't like to listen to he's like, gets all irritated because he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So he'll do the work, and then he has to listen to the instruction, and he's already done with the paper, but I'm like, you have to listen, that's how you learn.
Yeah, because the school bus starts at, it's up here at 6 and starts at 6. So he's up at 5, you know. So then he would do all this work already because he knows it's due, and by the time class starts, he's sitting there, just sitting there, waiting for them to do the talking. All the back and forth. Start eating.
As well, might as well.
We're gonna change the order. Mercedes Hernandez was here, but she had to leave because her child is sick. So we're gonna do this one first.
For us.
Because Dr. Winters is gonna call her.
But she wanted.
Yeah, she wanted to
He comes out.
turn your microphones off.
starting over. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that the board release M. Hernandez from her 2025-26 teaching contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second release M. Hernandez from our contract. All further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Unanimous. Second one.
I make a motion that the board release ASC Vito from her 2025-2026 contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Unanimous. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No discussion available.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.
No,
Thank you.
there's no discussion on adjournment motion.